Hey Frag fam, Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. Today I'm coming at you with 8 top-notch office fragrances. So these are fragrances that are fairly easy to wear, they're inoffensive, and they're not too loud. They'll be great for settings where there's lots of people around you because people will be able to smell you, but you're not going to be nuking anybody out. So if you're interested in hearing about fragrances like that, stick around. But first, let's roll that intro. Alright, welcome back. So we're gonna hop right in at the number 8 spot. It's from Chanel and it's called Allure Homme Sport. And this is just the original Eau de Toilette. So I would be willing to bet that some of you guys watching this video have not even tried this fragrance here. A lot of people glance over this one and go straight to the Eau Extreme. That is a great fragrance and it's the one that catches all the hype. However, this is still a great fragrance here too. You gotta remember, this is the one that spawned in that fragrance, allowed it to actually, come into existence. This thing smells fantastic. It's a lot fresher from the top. You have mandarin orange, you have regular orange, you even have aldehydes and then C notes. None of which are in the Eau Extreme version except for the mandarin orange note, I believe, at the top. But again, this one, it's just a lot fresher and fizzy, kind of uplifting off the top. You still have that nice creamy sweet tonka bean that the Eau Extreme version has. You also even have vanilla and then amber here. So it has those nice rich notes still in the base, but it's very uplifting and refreshing in the top. I think this one works way better in an office setting. It's just a fragrance that smells fantastic. And I couldn't see you nuking anybody out with this stuff just because it is so appealing. The scent isn't too dense and heavy where it's gonna like give anybody headaches or anything like that. And it's just the freshened up version of the Eau Extreme. So if you guys are looking for the kind of that, something easier to wear than the Eau Extreme in more of like an office setting, then check this one out. This fragrance is still definitely relevant and still smells fantastic. So again, the number 8 spot, that was Chanel's Allure Homme Sport. So moving right along to the number 7 spot, we got Kobalt Homme. So this stuff is fairly new to me. I've had it for a couple of months now. I really do dig it. There's a familiar scent with it. However, it does smell unique. I cannot think of anything else that smells exactly like this. I have seen comparisons to Chanel's Allure Homme Sport, and I can kind of understand that. However, I don't really think they smell even inspired by, like, this is definitely its standalone thing. But again, as I said, it does kind of have this familiarity to it, which makes it nice because it is a really good scent and I kind of like that vibe that it gives me. So it does have mandarin orange, it does have the tonka bean, and then the vanilla, all of which are in Chanel's Allure Homme Sport. However, there's a lot more going on with this one. You have some gaiac wood, you have cashmerean, and then even oud in this fragrance. So this one is definitely darker than the previous one. However, this is not a dark fragrance. Just knowing that the house Kajal and what they're about, and then looking at the bottle and the juice color, you would think that this is a really dark, heavy fragrance, and it's not. The stuff is still quite fresh. The oud is very tame here. The cashmerean kind of provides a nice, like a fuzziness or like a powderiness in a way. The gaiac wood adds a nice little leathery touch to this fragrance, but that's about as dark as it gets. It's still very uplifting and refreshing. It's not overly potent or strong. You're not gonna necessarily nuke people out. So I think this stuff would work great in an office setting. And again, it is quite appealing. There's nothing really dirty or off-putting about this. So if you guys want a nice, high quality niche office fragrance, I think this is a great place to start. So again, at the number 7 spot, that was Kobalt Homme. So at the number 6 spot, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum from the previous fragrance. We just talked about a high-end niche fragrance. Now we're back towards cheapies on the designer side. And it's from Dunhill, and it's called Icon. And it's in that iconic bottle shape, if you know what I mean. But anyway, this fragrance, it kind of stands out for a number of reasons. For one, the bottle is just super hefty and sturdy. Like, this has insanely thick glass. It's really hard to tell from the camera, but the base here is super thick. It's coated in this metal wrap with like these like pegs all over it. Like, this is a sturdy bottle and it weighs a ton. This thing's a weapon. But on top of that, the scent here is really unique. Like, when you smell this fragrance, you know it's Dunhill Icon. There's nothing else out there that smells like it. And I gotta give it props for that unique scent structure because, again, I've never smelled anything like this. It doesn't smell overly natural. Like, I'm not saying it's the most natural smelling fragrance in the world, but it's not a synthetic mess either though. This thing does smell quite pleasant. So as far as notes are concerned, there's a ton, but it has bergamot, black pepper, lavender, cardamom, juniper berries, and then even some oud in the base among a ton of other fragrance notes. So this thing has a lot going on with it. However, there is one thing that kind of brings it all together, and it's that it smells great. This thing smells, again, very unique. It smells amazing. The juniper berries in here are definitely the standout note to me. Kind of provides a kind of sweet, kind of balsamic, tart, piney smell in a way, kind of like a fresh cut pine tree, but different. Very unique scent structure. It is a little bit aromatic and spicy because of that lavender and then that black pepper. It opens up quite fresh because of that bergamot. But as it dries down, it does get a little bit woodier because of that oud, but it's not a stanky oud, and it's definitely not a real oud. It's a synthetic molecule here. So it's not gonna come across overly barnyardy or noxious or anything like that. So it's a very well-rounded and pleasant scent all around. And I think this is the type of fragrance that would work great in the office just because it is super inoffensive. So if you guys want a nice, cheaper office fragrance, this is a great one. So again, the number 6 spot, that was Dunhill Icon. So moving right along to the number 5 spot, we got probably the most obvious fragrance that would be on this list. I was debating whether I would even include this or not. However, in the end I did, just because I would be lying to you guys if I did not put this fragrance on this list. So it's from Prada, and it's called Prada Loam. So for anybody that's newer to the fragrance community or just never heard of this particular fragrance, basically, it gets a rep as being a very safe, office-friendly fragrance, and that's for a few reasons. It has this nice, kind of fresh, soapy quality that comes from iris. It also does have some sweetness to it, and it just kind of comes across very, very easy to wear and very inoffensive. It's a lighter fragrance too. Even if you spray it heavy, it doesn't get super duper strong, so you're not gonna nuke people out with this fragrance. Again, it is just nice, soapy, clean, a little bit of sweetness. Kind of gives me like a Coca-Cola vibe in a way. Not quite, but honestly, this is just a well-rounded office fragrance. It's not too expensive. It doesn't smell overly sophisticated, but it doesn't smell super dumbed down, playful either. It has a nice balance between the two, so you can pull this thing off casually or formally. So regardless of your office setting that you're in, whether it's a factory or you're in a high-rise building, you will smell on point in any of those scenarios when wearing this fragrance. So again, at the number 5 spot, that was Prada Loam. So at the number 4 spot, we have a very easy to wear fragrance from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. If I was to recommend one fragrance to start with from that house, just something that I believe that most people would like, this would be that fragrance. Like I said, it's from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and the fragrance is Amorous Homme. So, like I said, this thing is super easy to wear and appealing. I have not met many people that dislike this fragrance. Personally, I haven't met anybody, but as far as online goes, I've only seen a few people mention that they're not fans. Most people, this is very well respected. It has amorous from the name. It also has iris, mandarin orange. It even has some milk chocolate and then oud. So there seems to be a theme in this video with a lot of fragrances that contain oud, which is really strange because oud normally is not office friendly. However, I'm telling you, all the fragrances on this list, including this one, regardless of that oud or any other darker notes, are fantastic, mass appealing, great for the office. This one is no exception. It comes across nice and piney from that amorous, has a little bit of a resinous quality to it, but has this nice kind of powdery, soapy freshness from this iris, and then it even has that mandarin orange, which adds a nice, unique, citrusy nuance to this. It's got a little bit of rosemary to add a crisp, herbaceous quality to it, and then it's got that milk chocolate and that oud for a nice kind of creamy, sweet, dark, woody backbone. This fragrance is very well-rounded, very easy to wear, and again, you're not gonna nuke people out with this scent quality. It's not a heavy fragrance, so it's gonna wear for the office fantastically. So again, at the number 4 spot, that was Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Amorous Homme. So at the number 3 spot, we actually have a discontinued fragrance, although it's only recently been discontinued, so currently it is still quite affordable. And actually this is on the cheapy end of things as far as pricing goes. However, if you guys are watching this video in the future, that may not be the case anymore because this is quite a popular fragrance, and because of that discontinuation, I believe prices are gonna skyrocket here in the next few months. So if you're watching this on release or shortly after I release this video, I would definitely recommend you guys pick this fragrance up now. It's from Hugo Boss, and it is Boss Bottled Intense. So this is that classic Boss Bottle DNA, but just amplified. There's not really a difference in the smell, but it's just a higher oil concentration, so it's gonna come across stronger and it's gonna last longer. The DNA here smells absolutely fantastic. This gets compared to an apple pie. It has cloves, it has green apple, it even has vanilla. It has some other spices like cardamom, so it is quite sweet, spicy, and very apple oriented or forward, but there is more to it as well. It does have a nice freshness due to some florals, and there's even bergamot in this fragrance. There is some woody notes as well, so this is not a straight up gourmand apple pie. It's got this nice wearability from those citruses and those other notes that I just mentioned, so this is a great tamed kind of sweet spicy fragrance. This is about as sweet and spicy as I would recommend you go for the office, but in this case it definitely does work. This would be a great office fragrance, something different than just your traditional freshie. So if you want kind of a sweeter, slightly spicy oriented office fragrance, but something that still fits that bill quite well, this is one I definitely recommend. And again, it's discontinued, so I recommend you guys check this out sooner rather than later. So again, at the number 3 spot, that was Hugo Boss Bottled Intense. So at the number 2 spot, we do have a vetiver fragrance. This is definitely a safer vetiver fragrance. If I was told I had to pick one for an office setting, this is the one that I'm gonna point you towards, and that's why it's in this video. It's from Tom Ford, and it's called Gray Vetiver. So typically in fragrance, at least, the descriptor of gray typically denotes something that's gonna be fresher, like whether it's a fresher take on a original fragrance or just a fresher fragrance in general. Point being, Dolce & Gabbana, the one gray, it is a fresher, more citrusy take on the original spicier, sweeter version. And in this case, there is no flanker, but just from the description, gray vetiver, it's gonna denote that it is basically a fresher vetiver fragrance. And this is definitely true with this one. So you do have vetiver definitely as a dominant note, and that's gonna be the first thing you smell. But in this case, it's nuanced in a way where it's a very light woodiness. I've kind of compared it to the smell of crackers before, which sounds kind of weird, but that just kind of hints at it being very light, a little bit creamy, and just a little bit woody. So it doesn't come across dirty or anything like that. So you also do get some citruses here, even some spices. So this is just a nice, simple, but very high quality smelling and easy to wear vetiver fragrance. This is definitely more dressed up and for the gentleman. So you have to work in probably a more formal office setting to pull this one off, or at least play to its strengths. But nonetheless, it is great for the office. Fairly inoffensive, especially as far as vetiver fragrances are concerned. And it's just very, very classy smelling. So if you guys want something like that, an easy to wear vetiver fragrance for the office, check this one out. So again, at the number 2 spot, that was Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. And finally, at the number 1 spot, we have one of the most safe, just inoffensive fragrances around, certainly in my collection. It's from Creed, and it is called Himalaya. So this fragrance, to me, I like to compare to Silver Mountain Water. I do think that they are very similar fragrances. They're basically like twin brothers, where they do kind of have a lot of similarities, but they are somewhat unique from one another, and they do go in slightly different directions. So personally, I do definitely prefer this to Silver Mountain Water. I actually was not a huge fan of that one just because it had this weird inky smell from the tea note in it. I do know a lot of people like it, so no disrespect to that fragrance, but personally, I do prefer this one, and some of you watching this might as well. So this one kind of, the bottle even hints at it. It has this kind of metallic look. It does give off a light metallic vibe, but it's not very harsh or off-putting. I think that comes from the musk used here, and it comes across, like I said, a little bit metallic, but very fizzy, just kind of bright and clean laundry smelling. This also has sandalwood and cedar in it for some nice woodiness, although it's not too dark or heavy. It's a nice light woodiness. It does have a ton of citruses at the top. And then of course it does have that signature Creed ambergris in this fragrance. So it's got a lot of clean, refreshing notes in it. And that's exactly how it smells. Clean, refreshing. This smells like a $100 bar of soap, basically. So if you just want something that's extremely clean and inoffensive, that you can spray, you know, 20 sprays if you want to, and you're not gonna put anybody off from it because it's that clean smelling, this is the fragrance to do it with. I absolutely love this stuff. Great for the summer, but again, great for an office setting if you just want something that's on, but it's gonna make you smell extremely clean, like you just hopped out of the shower. So again, the number 1 spot, that was Creed's Himalaya. Well, there you guys go. Those are my top 8 office-friendly fragrances. whether you're in a busy office scenario or you're in a factory, even if you're around people that are maybe sensitive to fragrances, for example. These are fragrances that are on the slightly tamer side of things, so especially if you control your sprays, you guys should be good to go when wearing any of these. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate dropping a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos on YouTube. And since you're down there doing that, if you guys haven't already, if you want to write a comment just letting me know your thoughts as well as some new video ideas and topics, that would be great as well. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you guys have not already, if you could subscribe and hit the bell notification, that would be amazing. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.